All right, we're going to take a look at the Cold War in the United States. Cover pretty much the end of World War II to the beginning of the Kennedy administration. Okay, and we'll talk about this in class. Kind of what does it mean to be un-American? All right, what makes someone unpatriotic? And we'll start with this, but just kind of think about these before we come to class. People that sit for the pledge, people that don't say the pledge. If you criticize the president, if you don't vote, if you don't speak English, okay. Just kind of think about these, and we'll start class tomorrow looking at this. Now, communists take over Eastern Europe, China, North Korea. There's this fear that communism is going to spread to the United States. All right, we know what communism is all about. We looked at that, and it's a growing group, 100,000 Americans in the Communist Party. All right, so what they're going to do is actually create a committee of un-American activities, okay, and really look at the movie industry and how the movie industry is maybe using pro-Soviet propaganda, anti-American propaganda. You think about this time and why, or what type of movies are popular. This is kind of the height of the Western American macho man, good guy, bad guy, and there's a reason, okay, for this. So this group is looking at un-American activities, okay, and what happens is they start to blacklist, people in Hollywood can't get work. You get on one of these lists, no one's going to hire you. Actor, director, producer, and a lot of these famous actors are going to move out of the United States because they can't get work because people think they're communists. That's kind of the big thing. It's like a witch hunt. If you get called a communist, that's just as bad as you might as well be one. Okay. Now remember what makes everything even more scary. The hydrogen bomb. This is some serious 100 times the strength of what we dropped on Japan. Okay, we have one, they have one. Now, what do you do to prevent or to stay safe? Okay. Well, not only do we have one, we have 30,000, okay, and they have 45,000. So this is some serious, serious nuclear weapons here we're talking about. Now, we'll look at the bombs blowing up. How to protect yourself, okay? Well, you could get a hat. That would work. It's a couple of times stronger than the sun. You could, just if you get stuck outside, just put your hat down. Yeah, right. Okay. You could build a bomb shelter. Okay. These underground shelters that you could go in, because remember when these bombs go up, they have it's got a lot of distance, and we'll look at this in class. Okay, possible nuclear attacks in Wisconsin. These were a lot of major power plants, electrical facilities, big cities. Okay. As far as where you would be susceptible to an attack in Wisconsin. Kind of interesting to look at. We'll look at this more. Okay, in the United States, this is where we have our missile silos. Okay, we'll take a look at this. It's in North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere, literally. Okay. Here's the bomb shelter. Again, you got canned food, canned water that you could live underground if we had a nuclear attack. If you're in school, we practice tornado drills, lockdown drills, fire drills. They would actually have bomb drills, okay? Get under your desk, you duck, and you cover. If you have anyone that's 55 years or older in your family, ask them about this. I talk to my parents and say, oh, yeah, we did this all the time. You thought if the Soviets drop a bomb, you got to know what to do. You get under your desk, okay? Put your hands over your head and wait it out, okay? And we'll look at this in class. Now, with all this paranoia, people are freaked out, okay, about communism. We get the creation of the CIA, which is this intelligence agency that looks at overseas information, the use of spies, okay, undercover work, trying to weaken, overthrow other countries' governments to get information on these communist countries, and this is created primarily because of the threat or the fear of communism. Okay. Now, there's a couple spy cases that really shocked the U.S., all right? And we're going to look at these, two of them, here for a moment, okay? First one's a guy by the name of AlgerHiss, all right? Now, he works in the State Department. That's the department that works with other countries, very high up in federal government, okay? Now, he's accused of being a Soviet spy. Now, again, this is someone who has top secret information at the top levels of our international government. I mean, this is kind of crazy that this guy here could actually be a spy for the Soviets. Now, he's found guilty of lying under oath and served some time in prison. It comes out later that he was a spy for the Soviet Union. Okay, so these spies are being recruited, starting at the bottom level, working their way up through the American government, not only in our government, but in our nuclear program. Okay, and in this case of the Rosenbergs, they worked in the nuclear program and sold secrets to the Soviet Union. Now, a lot of the stuff at this time, I mean, we put all this money, resources and everything into our nuclear program, and we have the best, the brightest, the most intelligent scientists in the world, and then all of a sudden we'd create something, and the Soviets would create it a couple months or a year later. And like, what the heck? There were lots of spies working in our nuclear program, selling secrets to the Soviets. And this couple here, this nice-looking Jewish couple in New York, gets found guilty of conspiracy, okay? And the penalty is death. I mean, they get the electric chair, okay? I mean, the United States ain't messing around with spy activity. So again, this paranoia that anybody could be a communist, from the guy next door to the guy working in the government, you don't know, okay? Now, there's going to be a senator from Appleton, Wisconsin, Joseph McCarthy. He's a strong, bullheaded, anti-communist activist, all right? And really plays on people's fears about communism, okay? And what he starts doing is he starts attacking people and say, you're a communist, you're a communist, I know you're a communist, I have evidence, I have evidence. Doesn't ever show his evidence, but just the being accused does the damage that he needs, okay? And he becomes the most powerful man in Congress, okay? Nobody wants to challenge him, because what happens if you say, no, this guy's full of malarkey, this is bullcrap, this, then it makes you look like you're the communist, okay? He claims that there's communists in the State Department, there's communists in every level of government, has this list of 205 communists. Of course, no one ever sees this magic list, okay? But just the fact that he can get so powerful just by calling people out, okay? It's like we refer to it as these witch hunts, because either way, whether you're guilty or not, just being, the rumor is bad enough, ruins your career. Okay, here's McCarthy, okay, making these unsupported accusations to get power, playing on people's fears, bullying witnesses, very aggressive. Now what happens is McCarthy is going to challenge the Army, okay, and says, there's members of the Army, they're communists. Well, the Army is kind of one group you don't want to mess with. Okay, and they call him out and say, all right, let's do this, all right, put your money where your mouth is, all right, they have these televised hearings, showing bullying the witnesses, showing that he's just full of crap, and he loses support and, gets condemned by the Senate, but his really rise to power off of lying. I mean, it's just calling people out for stuff that's not true. It just shows, this is what's important, it shows how paranoid people were about communists, okay? Now, the last thing here, okay, the United States had these high-altitude planes called U-2 spy planes, and they would fly over the Soviet territory to gain information. Now, President Eisenhower is just about to have this negotiation with the Soviets, okay, and he says, all right, we got to stop these U-2 planes if we're going to have these negotiations. Probably should stop spying on them so we can go to this meeting in good faith. What happens is one of these planes is shot down over Soviet territory. Okay, so we have these planes. Eisenhower calls off these missions. so he can go to this convention in Switzerland, and one of our planes is shot down. Okay. Now, what happens is Eisenhower comes out and says, no, 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 this isn't our plane. This is just propaganda. They're making this up. The problem is that the pilot survived. He hit the ejection seat, and turns out, just makes Eisenhower look like a fool. Okay, makes us look bad. And the U-2 incident renews these tensions. The meeting is canceled. The Soviets distrust us even more. We look like we're lying. It exposes that we're spying on them. Really, right when things were starting to get a little better, they're going to get to their worst that they ever were. The beginning of the 1960s is as close as we're going to get to a nuclear war ever. Okay, and we're just getting things better, and then this happens. Okay. So we'll end with this. We'll talk about this in class, okay, and I'll have a good day.